Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tavern. USA captures the title. Live, PGA, and DP, they're still making up their mind, and we get more Masters. Welcome in, everybody. You like our little under our names?
Yeah, we're 0-2.
I put our fantasy teams records.
It's not pretty.
It doesn't start well, but
No, doesn't start well.
still got
How was your weekend?
It was good. We had a fun weekend. My wife's birthday was actually yesterday. So we did some fun stuff for her yesterday. We went to the Children's Museum on Saturday, had some fun, went to a park. Good family day. It was a good family day out. That was our weekend. How was your weekend?
I had to coach soccer again this weekend. We're back to coaching soccer for my youngest, Luke. He's playing some soccer, and I coach. I'm one of the two coaches on the team. So we were back in the soccer field, and we won 1-0. So that was
Nice.
fun. We got some new kids this year, so that's fun. And Luke made a couple really good plays, so it's always fun to watch him do that. It's funny when your child is large, but both your children are large. You don't realize how big your youngest child is, and he gets out on the soccer field with kids his age, and then you realize just how big he really is. So it's fun. But no, it was a good weekend. I didn't really do much. Didn't play any golf this weekend. I did play in Spark Golf on Thursday night again. Didn't play great, but it wasn't terrible. I played with George. We know George, fan of the show. So we had a good time there. So
Nice. Hey, look who's back.
yeah. At least he's not Diddy. He can watch us now. Too soon?
Wow. I don't know. But yeah, I think that it was a good weekend in sports, second weekend for the NFL. A good PGA event that was
I won't talk about your Giants.
I will talk about my Giants. They looked better this week than last week. That's all I can say.
They scored touchdowns.
Exactly. They're the first team in history to score 3 touchdowns and lose to a team that didn't score 1 touchdown.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Oh, it's bad. And then the Colts here, I'm watching the Colts here, and Anthony Richardson's just not finding his groove. Like, guy's got a cannon for an arm, but they can't stop the run. I mean,
they look like the Gators, where Anthony Richardson came from.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, then I had to watch my boy Saquon.
Can we put that up in the comment section or no?
Well, yeah, we will.
Unbelievable.
But I mean, the football season has been fun. Both college and the NFL have been great games. And teams that you thought weren't going to be really good, or teams that you thought were going to be really good, have been bad. I mean, I don't expect my Giants to win like more than 2 games this year. So
I just want to say I stayed up and watched the UCF game on Saturday night.
UCF's doing well.
Well, I stayed up and watched the game on Saturday night, and about halftime, my wife was like, she was sitting on the couch with me. She's like, "You watch something else? They're getting blown out." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing it." And they came back and won that game, and I just literally sat there and I was like, "Should we turn it off now?" And I was giving her a hard time.
That's been a lot of what the football seasons have been. Is like there's no protected lead right now.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you watched the last night's game. The Eagles should have won that game, and my boy Saquon, who I should be mad at for going to the Eagles, but I'm not because I think the Giants screwed him. No, the Giants. I'm mad at the Giants. I'm not mad at Saquon. And he dropped that pass that they never should have passed there. They should have handed the ball off and let the clock run down a little bit more. But they made their decision, and you see what happens. Yes. 100%. That was what that was. I mean, my Giants had the same problem uh, with Neighbors. He should have caught that pass that could have won us that game. So, all right,
All right, let's jump into first round.
boom. USA, USA, USA.
First off, first time since 2017, the USA team won the Solheim Cup.
No, we defended it. We won it last.
No, it was the first time since 2017.
I thought we were defending. I thought last year was the first time since
No,
20. Okay.
no. So congratulations to Team USA. If we're handing out grades for the week, I'm going to give Team USA an A. I'm going to give the LPGA Tour and tournament setup an F and maybe an F minus.
Not tournament setup. I would say their logistics and planning. Like the setup was nice.
And
This course was nice.
no, you're correct. Logistically, you and I have a background in massive people moving around logistics.
In
We've done
customer
it
service and events.
with
Yes.
correct. We've done it. Dave, we would include in that. Sorry, Dave's not here
Yep.
tonight. He's actually working an event tonight himself. But you and I have done this from a logistic standpoint of moving people around and getting people to where they need to be
I still
at the
do.
number one vacation destination in the world. You still do in your daily job. I
Mhm.
move money around. That's all I do.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how. What is the most important opening round, first session of any team event? What is the most important thing that happens opening day of any team event?
The opening
Most
ceremony,
important.
the opening
No, because the
national
opening
anthem.
ceremony takes place the day before. It's that first tee. It's the first
Well,
tee.
you mean at a golf event. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking
Right.
it's that first opening of it. That's what the first tee is. It's
Right.
that opening
So,
ceremony of it.
like all of those videos and pictures of the Ryder Cup, the President's Cup, where people are chanting back and forth, and there were like 5 chairs filled Friday morning at the Solheim Cup, and there's no one else to blame except the LPGA Tour.
So, Steve, you and I have been to many golf events. We've been to
Yes.
the one on the flag behind me,
Mhm.
which is a
The other side,
phenomenal,
but
like
yeah, the other
phenomenally
side, but
run.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
know.
the
You
other
know
side.
what I'm pointing at.
Yeah.
But with that, we've also been to Harbor Town where they've changed how they've done their getting people in and out. This happens all the time where you have something. I went to the US
Let
Open at Bethpage where we were parked on the beach and were bussed in. The
well,
logistics were there in
logistically,
all of these events.
they were
And
parking people for $30 a car at the amphitheater right there, the concert amphitheater.
I've never
Okay.
been charged for an event, a golf event to park at.
No. Now I'll say this: Bay Hill's $10 at Universal.
That's because Universal charges it because you're using someone else's property for that.
Correct. But again, this is also someone else's property. You've got a
Okay,
music
an
amphitheater venue
amphitheater.
that you have the amphitheater. So, but $30 to me was a little excessive. But if you're charging $30 in parking at an amphitheater, right? Let's just
Mhm.
call it what it is. And if you've got tickets for this event, where is for these events? When do you need the most buses?
Right at the beginning. Like that's you should have buses, and this is what I was gonna say. At every event I go to, they have 5, 6 buses lined up back to back at opening. So when the parking lot opens, there should be 5 buses, at least 5 buses minimum, ready
Yep,
to go. And you
correct.
fill up a bus, you
And
wait
they're
to fill
gone.
up a bus, and you go.
Yep.
That parking should open if you are 30 minutes from the venue, let's say it takes a 30-minute drive sometimes because
It's
I've seen some parking further
15
back.
minutes from the venue. 15 minutes from the
So
venue.
15 minutes from the venue. You should open an out parking should start 1 hour before gates open.
They opened 2 hours before the first tee time they opened.
And
Parking.
you couldn't get like this is simple
Because
logistics.
they staggered the buses coming in and their start times for some stupid reason. Did you need a lot of buses at 10 o'clock? No, you needed the buses at 5, from 5 to 8. That's when you needed the buses there. And then you need the buses when the day ends. The middle of the
But
day should be
also,
dead.
but here's the thing: at the beginning of the day, your bus drivers are working, let's say, a 5-hour shift. Okay, let's
Mhm.
just say a 5-hour shift. So that's 5 hours you have covered. So if you have at least 5 buses taking, what is an average bus seat? 80
Let's say
people.
50. Let's say 50.
Yeah. So every 30 minutes, you should be taking that many people in there. So if you opened 2 hours before and you only had one bus, you still should have had over 200 people that you've gotten into this venue if you had one bus.
Correct. And
And
they
that's not
didn't.
accounting for traffic and times on there, and also unload and load times. So but like I said, 5 buses. This is pretty simple to figure this out.
You know how many tickets you sold.
Yeah.
You know how many you sold.
And you know where
Like,
you're making
well,
at all these events, you're making people park in the same spot. It's not like
and here's the other
the
problem.
premium spots are very small, those lots.
Here's the other problem. You have, it's not like this was the first even team event at RTJ.
Yeah.
They did the first 3 Rider or President's Cups there.
Well, you have a blueprint for what this is. Like, you should have worked with the course and everything and said, "Hey, what has been done in the past? What do you like here?" Like,
Yes.
they should have someone who was either a director of transportation or a director of people moving, I don't know what you wanna call it, but out there that should have been planning this. This should have been their job. They should have had one job
You know what?
that
You know what I'm going to say? We've offered this before. Nobody has taken us up on it yet. I mean, why don't they just, again, we've offered this to the PGA Tour. We're going to offer it to the LPGA Tour. Why don't they just hire us? We'll
we're
figure
here to
this
help.
out. We'll have
We're
it.
here to help.
We're here to help. The Tavern is
We
here to
like
help.
golf.
Yes.
We like golf. We go to these events. We like customer service, and that's what this is about. It's what my dad and I love when we go to the Heritage, and we went last year.
Mhm.
Was you park at Honeyhorn, you get on a bus, and you wait on the bus for a few minutes as they're filling the bus up. They drive you in, they take you back, and this happened to us. We went one day and left a little early because we had a different day's passes and stuff like that. And the driver was like, "Oh, I'm just dropping off. I'm not taking back yet. They told us we're not taking back yet." I'm like, "We're going where you're going here." And he called his boss, and his boss was like, "All right, I guess you can start taking back now." Like, that's how easy this is.
Right.
Like,
It's not
if you have the
it's
buses
not
there,
hard.
it's
It's not hard.
they make it work.
If you're making a loop and there's people there, just go. Like, just take care. Again, it's not a difficult process.
And you
You
hire a
don't
bus company that owns these buses, that has
right,
drivers that are
right.
CDL, probably Class A or Class B, and so it's not like
I think
you
it's
didn't have enough
Class C. I think
drivers,
it's
and
commercial, but yeah, no, I mean,
it
yeah.
depends on, well, there's different ones.
Mhm.
Remember, I hire at Disney for this.
True.
So, so it depends, like, you're not it's not like you couldn't hire enough bus drivers. You're using a third-party company to run those
Right.
buses, so they're supplying that. You're
And
just
let's be
logistically not
real.
thinking about it. That's all this
All
is.
it did was make you look cheap that you didn't pay for enough buses when you had how much money coming in for these tickets.
Well, and here's the other thing. The one thing I will say, I give kudos and credit, not for what you did, but for how you responded. The commissioner of the LPGA took responsibility for this. And I appreciate that she at least admitted, "I messed up. I did this wrong."
Here's my problem.
I have
And
I have
I'm
respect
not
for that.
arguing that. I'm not arguing that. I have one problem with it. It shouldn't have gotten to that point.
Oh, it never should have. No, I
No.
that I agree with. It shouldn't have gotten there, and you could have fixed this. You could have made it better. And
Mm.
it takes away from the USA's victory a little bit. Not much, because it was still a great event that was there.
Right.
But
And they fixed it over the weekend. They fixed it the next day. It was fixed by Saturday morning. But the problem is you lost that chance for that opening tee shot
yep, day one.
for just the video of that opening tee shot where you throw the drone up above the seats, down, looking down on it, that you can now put on every commercial and everything that you do. Like, I have a hard time.
You missed a big opportunity, and
Right.
that's the thing. So if this happened on, like, if the first day it was fine, but then you had problems the second day, that's a different story. Because this
Right.
was day 1, that makes it tougher.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. Hey,
All right.
Brad, can we hang out with you when we go to PGA Tour events?
We're just driving with Brad in. That's what
We're just driving with Brad.
that's what he said. All right, let's get into happy hour.
I want to be here, right? Okay.
So there's been a lot of talk over the past few weeks.
I want to ask you, do we want to go down as news broke this week, or do we want to start with the PGA Tour? Do you want to start with DP World Tour?
Let's just go with how it broke this week.
Okay, so DP World Tour.
Yeah. So, I mean, you didn't even realize when I told you about the player that was on Live and is now on the DP World Tour and has a chance to get his PGA card. Like, that's got to be in this mix here.
Right. And I didn't realize that. And that was, yes, I agree.
So,
there was a lot of talk, and here's my problem with have I been very critical of Lives from the beginning? I have. Do I think that there are certain things that they do somewhat decently? Yes, I do. But have I been very critical? I have, because there's a lot of things that I don't agree with. And I've always felt like the players that have gone to Live have gone with a chip on their shoulder, and this is part of the problem I have with them, is that they seem like they're very entitled. They seem like, oh, well, I'm better because I'm part of Live, so I shouldn't have to do this. And that's how I feel they all come across. I feel like Bryson has come.
That's what they've been from the beginning. They have taken Greg Norman's mentality of, yes, I am right. This is a better way to do this, and your way is stupid.
They've gone with the us against the world mentality. And
it's an elitist mentality.
Right. So last week at the Live event, when Rahm started talking about the fact that he didn't want to pay the fines from the DP World Tour, and he was appealing it. And you know what? I'm going to say this as somebody who understands
paying fines.
No, the appeal process and how it stops that, and you can still participate. Because again, it happens in Major League Baseball when players get suspended. They appeal, they can play until their suspension is until the appeal is heard. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. Like, that happens across all sports, and we're gonna get into this at some point in this. So I want to stay consistent on, if it happens in all sports, then let's go with it. And I'm okay with that process. The bigger problem that I have is Liv went to the DP World Tour, and there's two ways that you can look at this. Liv went to the DP World Tour and offered them a proposed schedule adjustment to keep Liv events and DP World Tour events from overlapping, and they were going to keep them from their, like, Wentworth and their big events on the DP World Tour. It would allow players from Liv to go back and forth and play DP World Tour events. Liv also offered them 6 million euros for DP purses, and said it would create an exemption category for DP World Tour players into 10 specific events on the Asian Tour, an official partner of Liv. Now, here's my problem. I'm going to start with this.
Well, I want to ask you a question on this stuff.
Why would anybody in the DP World Tour want to play in an Asian Tour event? Tour's not even close to being the same.
No.
There's way more money being handed out than DP World Tour.
Steve, I'm going to ask you a few questions here with this. So with this, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
So when Liv started and all these players went over, what was the one thing besides the money that they said they were going over here because?
They wanted to play less.
Exactly. So why now?
Or they didn't want to play as much.
Yeah, exactly. You want to play less.
Yeah.
So why now do you want to add another tour, like, to kind of align with, in a sense, so that now you're playing on 2 tours, playing more, probably playing up to what you were playing on the PGA Tour. So you're disproving your own theory here
of more time off.
Exactly. And the other thing was, you want to play less.
Really quickly. Hey, Craig. Thanks, by the way. The shout out on the hat. I appreciate it.
So you wanted to play because you wanted less, you wanted to travel less too. So now, not only are you traveling more, you're traveling longer.
Right.
How is this proving your point that live to what you just said being superior? Because you're just reverting back to what you didn't like in the first place.
Here's my problem. They realize that they can't get world golf ranking points on Live because it's a team event.
Is it? Or is it an individual event? Because did the Legion win or did John Rahm win? I don't know how this championship works. It was the individual championship in Chicago. I do know, but it's
Right.
and that ring was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, it had a ball marker in it.
Not gonna lie. Somebody commented about the ball marker being excessive. And I was like, you commented about the ball marker being excessive. Did you look at the ring? That was my.
Yeah. If you've looked at Super Bowl rings over the last 5 years, they've gotten that excessive for like even
Right.
NBA championship rings. But to my point is you're doing all you want to do, you claim you want to do all this stuff, and then you cry that you don't get what you want,
Right.
but it's not what you want.
Right. And then you go to the same time this news broke, it broke that Tiger's playing before his another back surgery, that he's feeling fine, and then he had back surgery. I don't want to go down that road. The news breaks that Tiger's plane, the PIF plane, were all on their way to New York. Adam Scott's plane was on the way there, so they were all going to a meeting.
Yep.
And this morning, all of a sudden, I sent you a text, you and Dave a text, and news broke of some holdups that the PGA Tour players, and I'm going to assume Tiger and one of these sounds like Patrick Cantley, I'll be honest with you. But I can see where they're coming from. I may not agree with it. The news broke of what is the holdup from the PGA Tour perspective. And one of the holdups is they want the live players to give their money back if they want to come back and play on the PGA Tour.
So here's my thing. Get over, and this I'm going to say to the PGA players, get over that they took the money. They took the money. You chose not to. I commend you for not doing that, but they did. So you got to get over that. Like,
Right.
They don't have to give anything back. They got paid for being there. This is petty and jealousy that's there, and they kind of want that. And I get it. I would be mad too that I didn't take the money, but there's really nothing you can do about that.
Correct.
And the other thing that the players don't want is they don't want to have to travel more world events. They want to stay in a confined area.
This goes back to Rory's comment a couple weeks ago at the Tour Championship when Rory said, I played 27 events this year. I need to cut that back to about 20 to 23 events. I played too many events this year and I'm tired. The problem that I have, the next comment that was said, and the other thing that they're having a problem with is that, and this is going to open a rabbit hole for me because I've been on this soapbox on social media, and I'm just warning you guys, I need somebody to explain this to me. The other thing the PGA Tour players said is they do not want to play a global tour.
Yeah.
Now, Liv's thing is we're growing the game globally. Here's my argument. And Greg, if you want to argue with me, I need somebody that can give me a sensible argument as to why this needs to change. Okay. Golf as itself is the 7th most popular sport in the world. Okay. Every other professional sport, okay, has their upper echelon level. So, and I'm going to start not in America. I'm going to start in Europe with the UEFA League, the Champions League. In soccer.
Which is technically the combination of all the European leagues. That's what the UEFA League is.
But that's the league that you want to get to. That's where the money is, right?
Well, you have to win your league to get it. You have to be in the top 3 or 4 in your league to get into that.
But that's where that's the spot to be in.
Yeah.
The NFL North America. The Major League Baseball. People from around the world want to play Major League Baseball. North America. The NBA. North America. The NHL, which is probably, when you break it down, actually, funny enough, the NHL has more American players are actually the minority in the NHL. Canadian players are number one in the NHL.
Mhm.
But worldwide players in a league, the NHL has the most worldwide players in one league
Oh yeah.
when you break it down. Everybody around the world strives to get to those leagues and play in those leagues. That's where the money is. That's where the fame is. That's where everything is. So why is it that the PGA Tour, and everybody's pointing at the PGA Tour saying they need to be a leader in growing the game of golf globally?
So I'm going to
I
talk about.
don't agree. And this is the PGA Tour already plays, and I just want to. Let me get my facts out of the way. The PGA Tour already plays in not only in the U.S. They play in Canada, they play in China, they play in Mexico, they play in Bermuda, they play in the Dominican. They also
In
play a
Europe.
co-sanctioned event at the Genesis, and they play the British Open. The PGA Tour players play in the British Open. So we're talking about all of this. They play more in more countries already than any other sport in North America or the Champions League does outside of Europe. Well, Europe as a whole, as a continent. Okay, so if you want to take away the Canadian event, you want to take away Mexico, it's fine. Still, they play in more continents than this. Why is it the PGA Tour's responsibility, with the seventh most popular sport in the world, to grow the game globally when all these other tours, yes, you can complain that the DP World Tour is a feeder tour of the PGA Tour, yada, 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 but that's what they should be. The PGA Tour is the best in the world. That's where the best players are. That's where the most money is. That's where people need to be. And that's where you should be striving to get to. And that's my problem, is no one can explain to me why the PGA Tour has to be this global brand.
So I can explain to you why they have to be this global brand, because when they say growing the game, they're trying to grow interest in their game. So what you look at, and I'm going to say this across all the sports that are their headquarters are out of the United States. So I'm going to go with that. Look at where the Eagles and the Packers played in week 1.
Mhm.
They played in Brazil. They're going to
Correct.
play in Germany. They're going to play in the UK. The NBA, the Pacers and the Spurs are playing in France this year. They played a preseason game a few years ago in India. They have a developmental league in Africa. They are building these things to help those areas grow the game, but they do it on a scale that like puts 1 or 2 games there a year. Major League Baseball is doing that in Great Britain. They had a game this
Mhm.
year. So
The series. Yep. They've done
everyone
it the
is
best. Red Sox Yankees were there a couple years ago.
exactly. They
Yep.
it was the Cubs and the Brewers this year, I think.
Yeah, and the Cubs had been there before. I think they did Cubs
Yeah.
Cardinals there at one point. Yeah.
Oh, it was the Cubs Phillies this year. No, it was the Cubs. No, Cubs
Yep.
Mets, something like that.
Yeah.
It
was the Mets, because
It
we
was
all
the
had to
Mets
laugh
because
at that.
yeah. But they do all of this, and this is why the PGA should do it too, is to grow the game and grow the influence they have in these areas to help people get to games, because it's fun to watch. I gotta say, maybe not the Brazil game, but in Germany, watching all the fans that are just NFL fans there,
Yep.
that this is their one chance to see it. Like I am going to give kudos to Live. The only event that they do that I think they actually grow the game is, and can you guess where I'm going to go with this?
Adelaide.
Yep, Australia. Like
Yep.
that's where they are doing the right thing, and I would like to see the PGA Tour do something like that, where you have one event there, like they kind of do, and they do that right now. But I take Canada and
I
Mexico
I
out
do
of it
think that the PGA Tour has
because
missed and need to do an event in Australia. I do agree
yeah,
with that. Not gonna
but that's where I think they need to kind of grow it. But golf's not a game that you need to grow as much, but it is a sport that's not for like impoverished areas, and that's where they need to grow the game. They need to grow the game to get people clubs, get people golf
right.
courses that they can play, and make it more affordable. Because if you just go there and play a game there, but you're not doing anything for that community, you're not growing the game. You're not. So
So
just traveling to play in an event doesn't grow the game.
I do want to read some of the comments here that are on Instagram really quickly.
Go.
Nate Leach, friend of the show, been on the show
There we
before. Simple Jay Monahan is a great villain. Easy for everyone to hate on that guy. He's got to go. Bring in an outside leader in sports. Craig from Talatag. Nate is spot on. Greed is good. Gordon Gecko. And then Nate. So I did, as I said, the Scottish Open is a co-sanctioned event between both tours. But again, if you're live and you're trying to get DP World Tour and you're trying to do all these other things, and all you're trying to do is avoid John Rahm from paying fines, that's really what you're trying to do. I would take a co-sanctioned event to show off both tours on the same stage. So I do think there's one event on the DP World Tour that I think needs to happen more, and they play an event. I think it's the mixed Scandinavian or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and I'm probably wrong on the event, but they play it with the Ladies European Tour and the DP World Tour. And I think it's the Scandinavian, but I'm not, don't hold me to that one. I honestly think that's a way to grow the game. But Greg, going back to your comment about growing the game and just showing up and doing an event and growing the game, or how do you get clubs in kids' hands? Golf isn't a cheap sport.
That's what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not
like walk into PGA Tour Superstore. I know you do it a lot more than I do.
I haven't gone in a while.
No, but when you walk in, or if you're watching and you want to pull it up and you want to figure out,
go price it.
Go to Dick's Sporting, like, and they even have better prices on bags. And I'll be honest with you, I do like going to Dick's Sporting Goods, but go and look and see how much it would be to add a bag, get a new bag and a brand new set of golf clubs. And you're not customizing shafts or anything. You're just taking off the rack stuff.
Find the cheapest stuff you can find there.
Not even. I'll go Callaway TaylorMade. I don't even care if you do that. If you go Callaway TaylorMade and you go down that road, you're looking at minimally, and we haven't gone on the idea of golf shoes. If you want to upgrade your head covers, and I'm wearing my dormy hat, like, we haven't gone down that road to go really specialized or custom. You're looking at $3,000 minimally out of pocket. There aren't a lot of people with the economy the way it is right now that have that money sitting around. Craig from Talatag, add in lessons.
But even if you're just saying, hey, you're just going to go buy a bag, clubs, balls, and tees to start, because that's all you need. Right. You don't need a glove, you don't need shoes, you don't need, like, if you were just going to take what you need to play the game.
Correct.
Yeah, you're looking at $3,000
minimally. 3,500. So if you're going to go down that road and grow the game, how about we figure out how to put? Again, we had.
That's what I was.
We had John on. We had John on last week. Was it last week? We had John on.
Yeah,
the week before. Yeah, talking about Top Golf and Drive Shack and are they growing the game? Like, if you're going to go in and go all in and say I want to play golf, it's not cheap. How about they figure out a way to subsidize? Oh, wait. Why do golf clubs cost so much? Because every tour player gets whatever they want for free.
Well, and find ways that, hey, go into a community, build a program like the First Tee, like PGA Junior League, and get these kids clubs that are donated. Like, tour players, if you have all these clubs that you've had for years that you're not using anymore, donate them so that you can grow if you're going to these areas, because that's what a lot of these teams do when they go in. They run clinics, like basketball clinics, football clinics in those areas, and the bare minimum you need for a football is a football. Like, that's the bare minimum, like, that you need, which is different about this. But when you're going into this stuff, if you don't want to go that route, the route I was going to go, Steve, was you talked about the UEFA League. Okay. Why not do something where at this time of the year, maybe, if you get the most points every year, you take the top 10 from Live, the PGA, the DP, and throw in the European women and the LPGA, and you put like 5 events in there and take those. that would be like the UEFA League, where you're taking the top performers from this year and putting them in events and have one cup for the end of it. Let the women play from their tees, not like the men. Like make
Yeah.
it set up so it's fair, but that would be
I mean,
entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
here's and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, and I want to give a comment from Instagram to Nate Leach again. And Nate, I'm going to say this: you and your wife and the brand that you
Growing
guys
the
have,
game.
growing the game, like you guys have
Growing the
figured it
game.
out. I want to give you guys a shout out because, again, not only are you making a children's clothing line,
Did you see?
but your I want to give them a shout out because go to their website, go to Bear the Palms website. I'll give Nate the shout out here. Growing the game through Bear the Palm. Go to Bear the Palms website and look on there where you can go and find how to get your child involved in golf leagues in different golf avenues. So Nate, kudos to you guys because you guys are doing it. But Nate's
I'm gonna give
comment
him-
is first he is backed by the PGA and USGA. Go support your local section and grow the game. I
Yeah.
put the same pressure on each and every one of us.
Oh, 100%. And
100%,
I'm
Nate.
gonna give Nate and
Lindsay.
Lindsay had a great post on Bear the Palm the other day where they were getting shirts ready for the Shriners event. That they
Yes.
have a whole bunch of shirts for that. That is helping kids. Like
It's going back to the Shriners Hospital, what the Shriners Hospital does.
But that's what I'm saying. You're helping kids like just be kids, and then also helping them in growing the game too. So that's what we need to do more of is grow the game that way.
Here's my problem. And this is my problem with Liv. And I'm going to say this. Do I think there are great players on Liv? I do. When you look at what the PGA Tour represents and you look at them going to Memphis and the St. Jude and the stories that come out of the players that go to the St. Jude Hospital, Jordan Spieth going and donating a bunch of money, Jordan and his foundation and what they do for kids. We have the Shriners event.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the event here in Orlando goes back to the Arnold Palmer Hospital. Arnold and Winnie Palmer Hospitals here in Orlando. Both my kids were born there. So again, they have figured out a way to give back to local communities and to kids. Liv hasn't figured that out yet. They haven't.
Oh no, but I'm gonna even make it worse for Liv. What Liv is even doing, and unintentionally probably, because of what they're doing, and they're making the PGA make this for-profit entity and then have to run a nonprofit entity on the side of it, because the nonprofit entity is what does all that stuff for the community. Like, Liv is just about making money and doing like it is greed and it is not good. It is what is wrong with society at a point today is like there's too much where we are just trying to do too much to make ourselves money. And it should just be about like giving back and doing things and making it better. Liv's just trying to make themselves better. And they're ruining other things by doing that because they just want to fight other things.
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this. I do not begrudge anyone for going to Liv and taking the money. I'm not going to say that.
No, I don't either.
I don't begrudge them. I think the way they come off, the way they come across is part of the reason the disdain that I have for them. Bryson, and I'll say this, Bryson of all people has actually come across better since going to Liv.
He's the exception to the rule.
He is. I actually think John Rahm comes across worse.
I don't think John Rahm has changed in a sense. Because
I think this John Rahm as of late of I'm not paying my fines. This is ridiculous. Like again, why are you so entitled?
I think he just made a whole bunch of bad decisions and he's now angry at that. And that's what we're getting out of John Rahm. But it's this whole thing of entitlement of you went for money and you want to do this, but you're with an organization that Greg Norman is just basically trying to say, I'm better than the PGA. And that's the problem is be your own thing and don't fight these other organizations. If you want to do things, but don't say, hey, we want to be this, but then, oh, that didn't work for us. So now we want to merge back with this.
Hold on. Can somebody confirm this comment? Craig, put that up. The last one on there. Did he really? Because if he said that, again, I mean, if you want me to lose respect for you, that's the fastest way for anybody to lose respect for somebody, as far as I'm concerned, at that
Now,
level.
if it's true, I will say, because it's the equivalent of winning the FedEx Cup in a sense, because you won the season-long champion like that, like,
Right.
that's what it's the equivalent of. Did Scotty Scheffler say winning the FedEx Cup was better than winning a green jacket?
No.
No.
Did he make more money
Like,
winning a FedEx Cup than he did a green jacket?
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, but, like, I don't know how true that is or how much out of context that was taken, but or is that just a dig because of everything that always goes on with these two? It should not
Yes.
be this fight between what Live is and what the PGA is. Live, be your own damn thing. And you look like the arrogant in every like you are the Cobra Kai in the Karate Kid. You are the preppy kids in all of the 80s movies that everyone had to like treated everyone like dirt. Like that's what the
Mhm.
Live kind of comes across as. These arrogant, like our way is better and this is how it should be. Everyone should be like us. By the
Yes.
way, I watched an amazing movie this weekend. Have you seen The Long Game on Netflix?
No. No, I haven't.
Oh, it's about the 1959 Texas high school state championships and the Hispanic team that they
Oh,
created.
yeah, you know what? I've seen the trailer for it. Was it
Oh,
good?
it's unbelievable.
Okay. All right.
And not even as a
I'll try
golf movie, just as a society and treating people well. Like
yeah.
they were treated terribly, and it's a great
Yeah.
life lesson. So check it out. That's my pitch for that. But they seem like these people that seem like they're better than everyone else when no one's
Yep.
better than anyone. We should treat
No.
everyone with respect. I mean, I learned that from my parents.
I'm
Like,
gonna I don't begrudge any of the players that went to Live. I'm gonna say this because I'm friends with a lot of people that partner with Live and do different things for Live and Live teams. I don't begrudge any of them for making money off of Live at all. Like make it.
I agree.
Make every and I'll say this because we've talked about it before. Craig, make every penny you can off of that. Like if you can make money off of it, make money off of it. I have no
If
problem with
Live
it.
offered us money, I would take it. I'm
Right.
not gonna
If
lie.
right, if Live offered us money to be their commentators or to do a podcast on Live only,
But
again,
I'm gonna do it.
if they're putting money in a bank account for us, I'm in. Let's go. Like, I, I had
But
this
be
conversation
better.
with
Be better.
I had this conversation at the PGA show with someone who has a voice in media, and I'm not going to go down this road because at some point I would like to have him come on and we can talk about it. But I met him when I was in college. Bradley, just go ahead and put the drink up there. I met him when I was in college. I was inside the ropes with the players. We had a conversation. Greg Norman flew in on his helicopter, and he had a very pointed one-liner with me right next to him about Greg Norman flying in and landing his helicopter on the Valley course. And I reminded him of this conversation that he and I had, and he laughed and he said to me, I still feel the same way about him today. And it wasn't a nice thing that he said about Greg. And he said, however, if he offered me money to go to Live and commentate on Live and the money they're handing out, I'm in.
And that's the
I
thing.
don't got a problem with it. Like if you
and
want to
all-
offer me that money, I'll go talk good about you. But here's my problem. If you're not going to offer me money to talk good about you, I'm going to point out where I think your faults are. And do I think
Yeah.
Jay Monahan has been an angel on this whole thing? No, I
No.
don't. No, I don't. And I've criticized him too. But I honestly believe that at the end of the day, when the dust settles on all this, Norman's going to be out.
That's the
Or
thing.
they're going to go and that target that they have on Hideki's back is going to turn into $1 billion for Hideki Matsuyama to go. And it's going to be stupid money that he can literally look at and be like, and I can upgrade my zip code because I live at Keens Point in Orlando and I can move into Isleworth now because I got $1 billion. Or I can build Isleworth and buy it at that point. Like that's the money that they're going to offer Hideki because of what he brings to the Asian market.
Yeah.
It is. Like my problem is that giving PGA Tour players a boatload of money and backing a Brinks truck up is not growing the game of golf. You're not doing it at that level. You want to grow the game of golf? Put clubs in kids' hands. You want to grow the game of golf? Get with Bear the Palm and figure out how you can get shirts on kids' backs and get them on golf courses because golf courses want them in collared shirts for some reason, and I don't know why. I don't think Live Golf to me has not done a single thing to grow the freaking game of golf, and that's my
So,
problem.
Steve, I'm going to go back to this, what we've said a bunch of times, and offer our services to Live as publicists almost, and say, hey, they need an image consultant to come in and say, hey, your image is this, and it has been this from the beginning, and you need to change that. And the
Correct.
way to change that is you want to grow the game, grow the game. What you are growing is frat parties. That's what they're growing. Like
Correct.
they are growing that frat party golf mentality. And if you want to be that, be that. That's fine. But don't be that and want to be something else. Don't be that and want golf rankings. Don't be that. Be that and be a fun golf tour because it could be that. I honestly think Live could be this fun, different golf tour that could be out there and could coexist. But don't try to be what the PGA is. Because we got the PGA.
They had try to be more welcoming from the beginning and not so standoffish and be like us against the world. If they didn't have the us against the world mentality, I think from the beginning, I think this would have been easier for them.
I think they would have succeeded. I think their problem is Greg Norman's ego. And I have said that from the beginning is his pissing contest with the PGA and Arnold Palmer because he didn't like that they turned down his ideas when that's not what they wanted to be. So what you should have done there is what you kind of did. Go make something else, but go make it and just be out there. You don't see Pepsi out there like shitting on Coke. You see them out there doing their own thing.
Only during Super Bowl commercials.
No, but they do dig at them from time to time for fun things. By the way, Pepsi has one of the coolest commercials out right now of a Pepsi delivery driver following pizza delivery drivers to give Pepsi with pizza, and it's the funniest commercial. But
Nate, Jay and Greg got to go. I'm not arguing that. I will say this about Jay. Jay did work the deal. The problem with Jay and Greg right now is the two of them cannot coexist in a room together from a negotiation standpoint. Jay, when I look at what he's done with the PGA Tour and the stability of the PGA Tour, he was the one that went out and got the $1.5 billion with upwards of $3 billion from the strategic sports group. All Greg did was went and find a boatload, a Brinks truck to back up with the PIF.
He found a sugar daddy.
He found a sugar daddy and started something.
Call it what it is.
His ego, I'm going to quote Top Gun here and help my buddy Tommy. I don't think he's still watching. His ego's writing checks his body can't cash.
You got it right. That's what it is.
And I feel like at this point, the only way this is going to move on, and let's be real, Jay, after they put Tiger on the board, Jay is now a ceremonial CEO, and Tiger's running that thing, and we all know it.
Well, if you want change in organizations at the top, like a lot of companies go through this, is you have someone who had their run, they did good. Now you just need a fresh perspective on things. And that's kind of what the PGA needs. What is the problem on Live with Greg is that he never had a good perspective on this, and he's not doing the things for the right reasons. And that's when you go, hey, we need a new CEO because of this.
And he's not listening to anyone else.
No, that's the problem. He's just running like it into the ground in a sense because he wants to be right. And that's not the way to do this. It's you have to do what is right.
Right.
Like any leader will tell you, any good leader will tell you is you listen to your staff, and sometimes you make decisions, sometimes you go with what you want, but sometimes you go with what your staff is saying because they have the right information that you might not have. So it's called teamwork for a reason.
All right, I can get off my soapbox now. Let's go to Smack of the Week.
I'm going to talk through the Smack of the Week because
it's a longer funny Smack of the Week. It's kind of a compilation, but kind of how we all feel if you go play the Muni. Oh, ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody gonna slow me down. Oh, no. That was Dave, by the way. No.
I love the guy teeing off right next to him. You know that's a bachelor party right there.
Right. I feel like this guy should have been shirtless.
I thought it was DJ Khaled at first.
Fair.
I am hitting into this guy like I'm just. Every golf ball in my bag is being shot at this guy on the green if I'm behind him.
Yeah.
The ending to this is the best, and it's not what you expect. Sets his feet, takes a nice swing. Like there it was.
I'm just going to leave it at that because that was, that guy was left-handed. I'm going to say that was Mike Clyer, as he just said, I'm here. There was Mike Clyer at the end of that.
That guy had a good swing.
We have no virtual Dave this week because we don't have odds with Dave. But let's jump into last week. Good news in last call.
Yeah, let's go into that.
The Golfing Dutch Tavern is always here to talk about late breaking news, and we had late breaking news this afternoon. And it was pretty amazing news. I'm not going to lie. Like, the most watched golf tournament of the year is always takes place at Augusta National Golf Club. It's known as the Masters. And this afternoon, Augusta broke some news that they came to an agreement with CBS about more coverage. And we're going to get more golf. And more golf at Augusta is always good.
I don't know how you get more golf from Augusta because what we got from Augusta is the best coverage in the whole year. Let's be honest.
We get earlier coverage.
That's what I'm saying. Like it just gets better and better. It should be a national holiday for a week.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. We can argue. We may have something that we may want to argue this on coming. We may have something new coming from the Golfing Dutch Tavern here. Augusta typically takes place at like the greatest week of the year, sports wise. Like it may be the best sports week of the year.
It's an equinox, not an equinox. It's the pinnacle of like a bunch of different things happening
between Final Four, opening of Major League Baseball, the Masters. There's so much good going on in the world of sports. Augusta's
NBA final
playoffs.
Oh, we don't have virtual Dave.
Oh, he shows up.
Yeah, I showed up. It's amazing what happens when you're working.
No,
Dave, we get more Masters this year.
Yes.
So Augusta came out today and they announced with CBS they're going to partner and they're going to get us more Masters coverage earlier. Come on the air 2 hours earlier, but it will be, Dave, I don't need you sideways. It will be
Paramount Plus.
On Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Now, there's been a lot of conversation because, and I'll say this, the Golf Channel and Peacock and NBC got ripped when they did this at the U.S. Open because people didn't want to pay for additional coverage that you could only find on Peacock after hours late in the day. I guarantee you less people are going to complain about paying for Paramount Plus to watch the Masters than will ever complain about anything else.
Well, and here's the thing. With a lot of these this is what society's going to with TV. Cable was getting outpriced, and then these subscription services, which, to be honest, if you're buying all these subscription services, kind of like I do, it's the same as cable when you break it all down. But I get a lot more. I get things like this in there. I mean, even with the NFL, if you want to watch more than just your local games, you got to buy a Sunday ticket. So this is the way of the world now.
But I think when it comes down to Paramount Plus, I'm a subscriber, but I think that was one of the first services just for golf coverage in general. More people are already subscribed to Paramount Plus as compared to, say, Peacock or Amazon Prime or some of those other services. I think just from a golf standpoint, Paramount Plus already has a following for that subscription service.
But you're going to hear people complain Masters Week that they are pissed off that they're having to pay for that they're having to pay to watch Augusta when they should be able to get it on TV.
Well, that's why there's that fancy 7-day free trial that's out there that you can sign up for.
Well, I mean, that's what's going to be. I mean, all of these people are they're going to put in, like, you either get it or you don't. And if you don't, you still have all this other coverage.
You still have all the other coverage. You're just out 2 hours that you can watch on.
And it's 2 hours early, which all that does is allow us to sit and see the spectacle that is Augusta National in all of its glory for 2 more hours each day on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is. So but it's more Masters. I already have Paramount Plus, so I don't have a problem with it.
And at the end of the day, is more Masters ever a bad thing, regardless if you have to pay for it?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I'll be there this year, so.
Shut up.
Yeah, I went there.
And to quote the gatekeeper of the tavern, drink. Yes,
See,
Brad, I just gave you a title. You were not the gatekeeper of the tavern.
And also, this is the day I will be there, Chris.
Yes, par 3 day is unbelievable.
Yep. So, I mean, Steve, you just need to complete the trifecta for the tavern, and you need to win 1 year. So
I do. Like, that's next on the to-do list.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, I think with that,
or better yet, one of these professional tours should give us positions, and then we can just go every year because we work for a professional tour.
we need to broadcast, and that's what.
I mean, that's even a better idea. Let's
I'm
do
just
that.
saying. Just give it a
What's
different
Dave's?
perspective.
Hey, what's Dave's fantasy record? There's a comment.
Oh, I can put that up.
I'm 1-1.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know what Dave's record is.
Yeah, because I beat Greg this week.
Yeah,
There was no shenanigans.
there. Dave, you want to make a trade?
Let's make a trade. After hours, we'll make a trade.
We'll make it offline trade. We'll figure it out. So,
All right. That
Good show.
Hope everybody has an awesome week. Dave, thanks for joining us late.
Yep.
Hope your event went well tonight.
Yep, good event.
all right.
Later.
Good night, everybody.
I'm really fortunate, man. I mean, having an opportunity to build something that